So I know you're very interested in studying psychology. I studied psychology. Um, I achieved honors in psychology. Okay.
Oh,
Um, and I don't know, like I know you're going back to school. I don't know if that's something you're majoring in, but I know my understanding of psychology and cognitive science in general has like really informed my idea of what the meaning of life is
yeah.
or how we go about making it. And I was wondering if that's the same for you. Wait, but before you answer, Fatima was saying, "Women rule. It's time to take over, Susanna." She put a face app, fat Armin as her icon.
Oh God, that is that.
That's brilliant. That's her icon.
Uh,
But yeah. Oh, and Ghost Bunny is saying I switched my major to psychology. Yeah, I'm a huge psychology nerd, but I'm wondering if it's like informed your opinion on this.
well, I'm very late in terms of studying. I missed out on it earlier in life. I made two attempts, went into linguistics, stopped that because I didn't see the point. Then recently I started going into, I picked up my education again, and I wanted to study religious studies, but then suddenly everything switched, and I thought, I don't want to study religious studies, I don't care that much. I would rather want to go into psychology, so I switched to that, and am studying now, and even at the beginnings, I mean, learning a little bit, especially about neuroscience, neuropsychology, learning about why humans act the way they act, and
Yeah.
how much our brain, our neurons decide what we do throughout the day and how we end up, how much our neurotransmitters really, are a factor in deciding what we do throughout the day. So much about that really made me think completely differently about life, about judging others. It really, I have to be quite honest. Before that, I had become very impatient, and I was basically yelling at people, getting angry at people for the smallest, tiniest things, getting angry at people in traffic. And then when I learned more about psychology, I started understanding everybody and just being so, forgiving and patient with everybody. And it also further distanced me from religion and from the idea that people have a purpose and that people would go to an eternal place of reward or suffering. And it did turn me into a completely different person in terms of meaning of life and my outlook on humanity and society and the world and all that. It definitely did that. It is a very valuable, a very wonderful, distinct path. Psychology, I think, and it is also so new. It's like uh, people. This is a very new science that people are vastly ignorant of, and that we don't that we don't know very much about. We don't really understand the brain, and as far as we understand it, it is fascinating and revolutionary to insofar that it can fundamentally change the way we live life and we look at life.
Mhm.
And I value that so much. I think people should really learn more about psychology. I mean, it should be people should be more. There should be more an education directed towards society in general. People should know more about this stuff.
Oh, I
But
completely agree.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
well, I mean, it could be argued that, like when I took all my courses, we would learn about the history of psychology, right? We always learned about how, like, basically philosophy was like our first attempt at psychology in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, hold up, hold that thought, hold that thought. Abdullah Samir is here. I'm not going to make a big deal because he doesn't like it. But hi, Abdullah. It's good to see you. Guys, also subscribe to Abdullah Samir's channel if you like an ex-Muslim who's like very friendly about things, because people don't always like Armin's approach. So if you like someone who's more mild-mannered and very kind, well,
Yeah,
Armin's kind too, go check out Abdullah Samir. Or just
yeah.
check him out in general. He's very good.
Thanks, Abdullah. Thanks, Abdullah. I agree. Check out Abdullah Samir, although I think he's too soft and he's not as hard hitting and brutal as I am. Just kidding. Thanks,
He's
Abdullah. I
not a
appreciate
prophet like you. And go Suha, one of our best mods, Saint Suha, is giving us the link to Apostate Prophets channel. So go subscribe. I mean, I bet you think it's cute that like our little channel is like, oh, go subscribe to AP, but guys, go subscribe. Like, um, I literally don't know how I would go about like navigating life if I did not have my education in psychology and neuroscience. Like it's one of the most important tools in my toolbox. And I think this is why to a certain degree I'm not as interested into getting into the nitty-gritty real esoteric levels of philosophy, because oftentimes I find it runs extremely contrary to the science of what we understand about our brains currently, and I get very frustrated when I feel like certain aspects of certain moral philosophies do not take into account how we are just like these little creatures running around in the mud that at the end of the day need to meet our biopsychosocial needs. Like, our existence and our livelihoods is not really about being moral creatures.
Mm-hmm.
It's about meeting these biopsychosocial needs. And so I get kind of frustrated or kind of easily bored with philosophical discussions that are purely oriented towards like just being the most moral beings, because that's not really what we're oriented towards anyways. I mean, I do think it's important. I think it's something we should strive for, but like, let's not kid ourselves that this is what we are. Yeah, like, well, obviously not by an intelligent design, but for lack of a better word, like created for, And as soon as, have you studied any like cognitive psychology at all?
I like from the very beginning, I thought of all the branches, of all the approaches, I liked cognitive psychology the most.
Yeah.
And how it deals with things, and how the pioneers of cognitive psychology deal with problems, and how they explain the origins of certain abnormal states of psychology and all that. So not too deeply. I'm still kind of at the beginnings, but I like it, and I have studied it to a certain extent.
Yeah, it's so interesting because like as soon as you learn about all of the processes that go into our precognition, because there are so many things that happen in our brain. It's called precognition, before like stimulus coming into our brain, and our brain is already making decisions about what to bring to our conscious attention about this new stimulus coming into this little machine right here. Like once you learn about all the things that go into your precognition, it's like, oh, we don't have free will. Like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah, there's so much that is just, and it's so far beyond our understanding right now. It's so interesting. Like,
that's one of the things, one of the tough things that one of the tough realizations that I had when I went into studying psychology, was that although there is so much struggle in life and so much surrounding philosophy and the meaning of life, most of the time we are kind of completely or mostly at the mercy of our nervous system and of our environment. There is really not much that we can that actually makes us very independent, and there is not much that we can credit ourselves for. And that was kind of a tough realization, but it is the truth. When it comes to philosophy, I sometimes say this nowadays, after I learned more about philosophy and about psychology. As you said, it's like philosophy is kind of the old attempt to explain psychology. It is old psychology, and very often it is just a bunch of nonsense. Even very popular philosophy is often just a bunch of garbage that is simply used by people who didn't understand nature, who didn't understand humanity, who didn't understand themselves. It is their attempt to explain things in a pseudo-scientific or supernatural way. Many philosophers that we know in history base their ideas on the premise that everything was created, or everything is bound to an external force or internal force that is conscious, or or similar to conscious. And when they try to when they try to redirect humanity with that attitude, with that false premise, they go completely wrong, which is why so much of philosophy is just complete garbage from today's point of view.
Yeah.
That's why I like Nietzsche, for example, and that's why I like why I like the more recent, the more romantic, existential, nihilist philosophers, because they depart from the whole idea that we are doing, that we are steered by this force, by this external higher being, this force, and that we are actually in a world that has no inherent meaning, that has no inherent brain or creator, and that we make our own path and our own meaning. That simply makes more sense based on today's understanding, the accurate understanding of science and human nature.
Wait, your wife is interjecting a comment, so we have to pause and acknowledge. If you believe in free will, you should observe an impulsive, hyperactive preschooler for an afternoon.
Oh yeah.
And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of Why There's No... Where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free... It's not even promotion, it's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, like, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.